Today, I want us to tackle a question which is one of the most conflicting questions which I've ever had to process in my mind. And I even tried to ask the AI tools which we have, and the answer they were giving me completely also contradicted with what I came up as a solution to the same question. So this is question. I also posted the question in my socials. Many people didn't react because I believe majority of them never understood what the question was all about. In fact, to some point, someone might think that the question is blasphemous. But either way, I have the boldness to bring the question here for our discussion. And I believe at the end of this discussion, we'll have some insights which are going to open both our solical, even our cautious and subconscious eyes, and we'll be able to perceive the world the way we were intended by our Creator to perceive it, because I believe a good percentage of the global population, not even a good percentage, but the big percentage of the global population have the wrong perception of life, and to be specific, the marketplace. And this is the question. Now, if only a small percentage of the human population is able to meet their basic needs, secondary needs, and luxurious needs. And of course, these needs, as human beings, we have them because they ooze from the very design of our nature. This is how our nature was created. And as far as we have the human nature, we'll never ever stop having the craving for basic needs to be met, secondary needs to be met, and tertiary needs to be met. If I'll explain further, basic needs are survival needs: food, shelter, clothing, nowadays education. And the basic needs, these are development needs, and they are usually called security needs: a home, a piece of land, a few assets, insurance. Those are the secondary needs, the security needs. And lastly, number 3, significance needs. And these are the luxurious needs, like getting what you want, where you want it, enjoying it from whichever place where you want to enjoy it. So if only a small population here on earth, and when I was doing my research, the statistics say 5 to 8% of the human population, that is close to around 82 million people. That's a big number, but when you compare it against a ratio of 8.2 billion, that is very little. That's barely 10%. So if it's only 10% of the human population which is able to meet their survival needs, their security needs, and their significance needs, does it mean Earth is a failed experience as far as human existence is concerned? Because a successful experiment will be at least 90% of the human population are able to meet the needs which come from within their natural design, the needs which the design of the human nature will always demand. Because I believe the young person at the palace and the young person from a poor family in the slums, both of them, the nature of their design will demand survival, will demand security, and will demand significance. And the reason why it will demand it is not because it's strange, but naturally, that is how the human body, the human spirit, mind, and soul, and even art was designed to demand or to live by. So does it mean the way we were designed and when we were placed here on earth, the experimentation of us being here is a failure? I've taken some time to bring in the question again and again. So what would you say? Probably you can pause the video and have a thought on the same. Because let's say if someone wants to implement a project, or maybe they want to come up with a product which should serve humanity, and they want to take that product in the marketplace. And then they come up with a product. Probably it could be a phone. For example, let's say when Steve Jobs was coming up with Apple, when he brought Apple in the marketplace, its functionality became a success, probably succeeded only 10%, but 90% it failed. We would say Apple, which Steve Jobs, of course, innovated, was a failed experiment. Why? It only succeeded 10%, 90% it failed. Or maybe the Wright brothers, when they innovated the aeroplane. Let's say like if that aeroplane just flew for 10 minutes and then it will not fly again, what will we call that? A failed experiment. So, is humanity a failed experiment on Earth? Having posted or posed the question again and again, I want us to start answering that question in this particular video, and kindly pay attention, because I believe the insight which we'll get from this conversation is going to affect how you see yourself and how you see the globe in totality. And I believe there are people who have the answer to that question. And my biggest question is, why is it that these guys have never come out and shared the answer to this question, because I don't believe the Creator, God Most High, being perfect in everything. When you look at the tree was created perfectly. When you look at the domestic animals, look at the wild animals, when you look at the sea, everything was created perfectly and functions perfectly. When you sow a seed on that seed will grow naturally as far as the conditions favorable are present. So how is it that humanity is the only creation of the Creator, whereby the largest population of humanity seem never ever to succeed in terms of just living naturally the way the humans were designed to live? That is meeting comfortably their desires for, or their needs for, survival, security, and significance. So if the Creator is perfect in everything, it also means He also created man and brought him here on earth to successfully meet those three needs: the need for survival, the need for security, and the need for significance. Naturally, the way the rest of His creation meets or naturally succeeds or becomes what God created them to become naturally without any struggle. Let's begin answering this question with that introduction. So number one, which is this small percentage which is able to meet, that is basic need, secondary needs, and tertiary needs? This is the group of the wealthiest people on earth. The other day I was following up Wolfbeck and Julian Kula from Kenya. He was telling the Nigerians Elon Musk is towards 1 trillion USD worth. And that's crazy. And I was doing my research and I discovered the globe right now has got 3,000, probably, and 6 or 8 billionaires, dollar billionaires, as we speak today. And of course, you have dollar millionaires, because we said the population of top richest is around 82 million. Now, when I was doing my research, there's something I discovered which was very astonishing. Oxfam concluded, just in 2025 December, they concluded that 10% of the richest people in the world own wealth which surpasses 50% of bottom population of the globe. So that means 82 million people have more money than 4.6 billion people or 4.1 billion people. So that means 4.1 billion people cannot meet their survival needs, their security needs, and their significance needs. But there are some 82 million people who they themselves and for their generations and generations to come, they will forever meet those three needs. So what did that 10% do? Or what is happening here on earth such that we have such a disparity? In fact, Africa is the worst. In Kenya, they said 125 individuals own more money than 77% of the Kenyan population. 77% is around 45 million people. So 125 people in Kenya have more wealth than 46 million people. In fact, even in Africa, they said 4 billionaires, the 4 richest men in Africa, have more wealth than 50% of African population. Right now in Africa, we are around 1.5 billion. So 4 guys have more wealth than 750 million people. So this, again, is confirming that a small percentage of the human population are able to meet their survival needs, their security needs, and their significance needs. And of course, the opposite is true. The largest population is not able to meet. So when I was trying to come up with the answer of this question, of course, I am a spiritual person. I had even to commune with the Creator so that as I package my answer to this question, I also can hear from Him, because earth was this idea and humanity is this idea. So where did the disparity come in? Kindly listen. Now, what makes anyone be able to meet their major needs, that is basic needs, secondary needs, and tertiary needs, is something we called income. So if today you have an income, that income will determine the needs which you are going to meet. Because someone like Elon Musk, the reason why he's the richest guy is because the kind of income which is flowing into his accounts, or probably is projected, probably his investments and his businesses to make in terms of profits, that is the income he makes. So when that income is compounded together, and of course all the worth of his assets are put together, he happens to be the richest man alive. So someone like Elon Musk will not care about what to eat, where to sleep. He will not care about which car to drive or which home to live in. And of course, he will not care about where to have holiday, or probably which particular community wants to give charity. So he will not care about that. Why? The level of his income meets the three needs of the human nature comfortably for him. So income is what gives any man ability to meet the three needs of the human nature. That is income for you. So then it means the largest population in the world which cannot meet needs is an income question. And where do we get an income? Two places. Either a salary, you're employed by this particular organization or this particular institution, be it private or public, and they remit some money at the end of the month. Of course, out of the services and the tasks which you have undertaken for them. That is one source of income. The other source of income is profit. Probably you come up with a project, you trade it, you get your money. Or probably you buy stock, sell at a markup, and you also make some profit. So that becomes your income. Income is sourced from either a profit from a business or a salary after you render your services, probably after a week, after a month, or whichever period which your employer decides to pay you, or the contract you signed dictated you'll be getting your salary. But if you are to think deeper, you'll also discover salaries are paid by businesses. And the truth is, salary is an expense in a business. So this means business then happens to be the source of every income on earth. Because every employed person, be they employed by the public sector, be they employed by the private sector, every employed person, at the end of the day, they are in a particular kind of business. For example, if today you are employed by Deloitte or by Oracle, or probably you are employed by Microsoft, or even in Kenya, you are employed by a bank like NCBA, at the end of the day, what I've just mentioned, those are names of companies in business. So it is as a result of the companies being in business that the revenue they collect or they put together, part of their expense becomes your salary. So at the end of the day, every income which enables people meet their basic, secondary, and tertiary needs, the genesis of that income is a business. Don't tell me about the government. The government gets revenue from collecting taxes. Taxes from who? From businesses. Taxes from who? Salaries, which are paid by guys who are in business or are enabling business to succeed. Therefore, this makes venturing into business, or the businesses which are established across the globe, as the key denominators as far as sourcing income for humanity is concerned. So this is widening our eyes, or probably expanding probably our perception scope to understand this one thing. 5 to 8 or 10% of the human population who are able to meet their survival, security, and significance needs, those guys are in business. And that is the truth. Go and look at the top 10 richest people alive today. All of them business owners. By the way, the other day I heard there are some families which control the world. And one of the families is the Rothschild family. What does that Jew do? Probably is either 17th or 15th century, if not 18th century. This is what the guy did. He just had a scan and observation of how the marketplace was evolving. And he discovered there will be need for banks. And he is the one who came up with the model of the today banking system. And that's why his family to date is enjoying the business which he started. Because what he did is this. He ensured, he was in Germany, he called all his sons, he sold to them the banking system idea. And then he sent them in to the major economic powers then, French, UK, the US, and Germany. And from there, they grew crazily. And what would I tell you? People like JP Morgan. Today, JP Morgan is one of the largest companies in the field of banking and finance in the globe. Who mentored JP Morgan, or where did he borrow his genius model, which has made him dominate in the banking sector for years and years? The Rothschild family. And also people like Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie just entered the marketplace, and a young person who was an orphan at the age of 9, he mastered how the market was operating. And he entered in the marketplace, and he grew to become one of the richest people on earth during his time. So all these people, one common thing that they have, they got into business. And kindly listen, because we are even learning more. In Africa, they usually say politicians or corruption is one of the things which catalyzes the wealth of the richest people. That is true, of course. I cannot dispute that. But what happens to the politicians when they steal the money? They start businesses. So it means the richest people in the world, or that small percentage of guys who can meet their survival, security, and significance needs all of are into business. And of course, remember we have said business is the major source of income, which enables men and women meet their basic, secondary, and tertiary needs. So with that understanding, then the question is, why is it that what I've just said is not the thing which is given consideration and campaigned, and probably a gospel is spread across the globe and across history, that young people are trained how to enter into business from when they are young? Because if the guys who are able to meet the three needs of the design of the human nature, if those guys are in business, why is it that the society is not trained on business alone? But then what are you usually trained on? I'm about to bring a conversation which might seem conflicting: education. So when my kid turned 4, I took her to playgroup, and then PP1, PP2, and she's going to go through the entire system in Kenya, through grade 1 all the way to grade 9. Then after grade 9, she'll join senior high school all the way to grade 12, and then after that she'll go to the university, get a degree course. Then after that, she will do a very beautiful CV, or maybe probably she'll get an attachment. Then after that, I'll assist her do a very good CV, and then I'll try to talk with a few of my friends, or we'll try to send the CV to several companies, and she'll get a job, and that's all. Now, why is it that the training for earning an income has been limited to such kind of a system? By the way, who are the guys who innovated or invented education? Who are the guys who decides the subjects which we study at school? Who are the guys who came up with mathematics, chemistry, biology, geography, history? Who are the guys who came up with the list of the degrees we pursue at the university? Economics and finance, education, biochemistry, mechanical engineering. Who are these guys? I'll be very frank, I don't know. Probably you can research. But what has been the result in terms of enabling whoever goes through that system have a steady stream of income in their life, so that they can all the time meet the needs of the human design or the human nature? That is survival, security, and significance needs. How has it worked, by the way? We can think together. And the truth is, in my country is a crisis. We have got very many brilliant young people who are healthy, because what many charitable organizations, the UN, concentrated on, which was a super job in the last probably 3, 4, 5 decades, was ensuring young people went to school and they were served with the best nutrition, and there were hospitals and medication to ensure they are healthy. So right now, not only in Kenya, but across Africa and across the globe, we have got very many young people who are healthy, who are very energetic, and who are very brilliant. But now, the model which was established proves to be failing in terms of providing means of earning an income for this generation. And that's why majority of them have their degrees. I also have mine. But the firms which can offer opportunities to earn an income, both in the private sector and in the public sector, they are very limited.